Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox, and it's a cloudy, foggy, cold Seattle day. I almost moved to the Pacific Northwest. Can you imagine that? And that's why they drink coffee. Because it is like it is. Hey, Brother Tim. I know I owe you an email. I know it just requires much thought and typing, and right now I'm sitting here. So I'm doing some research today, some studying, light studying, but studying. And it started with me seeing somewhere that the U.S. spends more on defense than the next 9 countries on the list combined. So we spend the most. Number 2, I think, is China. Number 3 is Russia. Number 4 is India, something like that. And keep going down the list. 9 more countries add all their defense budgets together, and we spend more than that. That's amazing, right? And it sounds a little obscene when you think about that. I think, in terms of just raw dollars, why are we spending so much on defense? Until one figures out 2 things. One, fairly easy. We are the protector of democracy and freedom throughout the world. Okay. Okay. But 2, we have a huge economy. Huge. And so what I looked at then was defense spending as a percentage of GDP, gross domestic product. In other words, what percentage of the country's income is being spent on defense? Oh, significantly different when you do that. We are spending 3.5% of our GDP on defense. That does not strike me as terrible. How much of your family budget are you spending on defense? Guns and ammo and training and things like that. 3.5% doesn't strike me as terrible. Yet and still, that places us, I think, number 4 as a percentage of GDP. The U.S. is like the 4th highest spender. We spend more of our income as a percentage than most other people do. But the reason that I started making this video was not all that fascinating as it may be. So we spend 3.5%. Israel is spending, I think, 5 point something percent. They spend more, percentage of their income on defense. And I think that's totally understandable. They are surrounded by enemies who don't want them to exist. So to me, that makes sense. What is shocking to me is that Saudi Arabia is spending over 10% of their income on defense spending. Russia's up there too. Figures are kind of skewed, but Russia is right at actually really 10% of theirs. Now, when you think that that's 3 times more, 2.5 times more than what we're spending as a percentage of GDP, that's huge. And it bespeaks to me intent, right? We are going to spend significantly more of our income on defense because we intend to have to use it. And when I say defense, just allow me that word, right? Defense, offense, military. And so I was talking to my wife and I'm like, why do you think Saudi Arabia is spending so much money compared to everybody else on their military, military budget? One, they're trying to shake it up a little bit. They're trying to enact their will without the U.S. backing them directly. As they are in Yemen right now, they're leading their own little coalition in Yemen and doing things there. But to me, that still isn't like worth 3 times as much as 10 times as much as most of the world spends. Most of the world is at 1% or less. Canada is 1%, right? 1% of Canada's GDP goes to defense. And, they were at the bottom of the list I saw, so then the other 130 countries spend less. The same or less. Iran, certainly. You know, Saudi Arabia and Iran are going to mix it up. But it still makes me go, I'd like to be back in intelligence and go over to my friends on the Middle East desk and say, hey man, talk to me about Saudi Arabia's spending. I would like to know what we assess the reason for that is. And again, I look at everything through, my own eschatological view, end times, biblical. And at that time, basically the world goes against Israel. Right now, Saudi Arabia is playing nice with Israel, but I don't think that's going to last. And Israel has nukes. Everybody knows that. Saudi Arabia doesn't yet, but Pakistan does. Iran's fixing to. Interesting, looking at numbers like that, seeing how things fit out. Do you have a family budget? Do you really have a family budget? Like, do you do long-term budgeting items? Do you have a defense budget item? This is for guns and ammo and, like I said, training and accessories and stuff like that. I suspect most people don't have a written out budget. I don't. I'm not that good. I just wonder what you're spending on defense. And what's that mean? I had a friend, and I guess I'll finish up with this. I had a friend who was a gun guy. He was a gun instructor. He'd been to all the courses, everywhere. He shot very well, 45 of course. And he lived in a nice house. He had his own business, small business. He lived in a nice, normal house, two-story house. May have been a split level, but I digress. And the upstairs was woman, and all their kids were grown and out of the house. The upstairs was woman space, all very lovely, nice dining room and everything, living room, flowery, and more Lagerberger baskets than you could shake a stick at. And if you don't know about those baskets, they're these little baskets that some women just like lose their mind over and buy a bazillion of them, and they're all expensive. Kind of like Polish pottery, how some women get into that. Look it up. Downstairs was man space, and another complete living room, leather, leather couches, brown leather couches, TV upstairs with all the chick flicks on, DVDs, and downstairs, big screen TV with all the, if it shoots or blows up in the movie, all those movies were there, downstairs. And that man had more guns than you could shake a stick at. She bought baskets, he bought guns. He even commented on it. He goes, hey, I let her buy baskets, she lets me buy guns, we're both happy. I think in that case, too much of their family budget was going towards baskets and guns. How many can you carry? Beware the man with one gun. He probably knows how to use it. All right. Hey, just something to think about. Just kind of looking at what's going on in the Middle East. I'm trying to get more knowledgeable on the Middle East, Central Asia, all that stuff in there, what's going on. And so today my thoughts and studies took me on military defense spending. 10% is significantly higher than everybody else in the world. That's Saudi Arabia. What are they thinking? And they're having all those shakeups, right? All right. I'll see you out there.